Welcome to our discussion on the intricate dynamics of power and political culture in Cambodia. It's like, diving into a labyrinth of history, culture, and personal influence. Really fascinating stuff.
Absolutely, it's a deep mix of ideas. What strikes you most about the Cambodian conception of power?
Well, one of the central themes is the idea that power in Cambodia isn't credited to institutions so much as to the personal qualities of individuals, their omnayak, as it's termed, and a whole suite of attributes related to wealth, social status, and charisma. Essentially, power is seen as inherent in one's personal bun, or merit, which is earned through both material wealth and moral acts.
Right, so it's not just about holding a title in government or a high office, but more about the personal ability to influence others, even outside formal structures.
Exactly. And alongside omnaik, there's also the notion of kamlang, which is more about coercive power, the capacity to, enforce compliance through traditional state apparatus like the military or police. So they're not mutually exclusive. You see, Cambodians distinguish between influence that comes through genuine personal merit and influence through physical or coercive means.
So, in a sense, while modern democratic rhetoric might place emphasis on institutions, in Cambodia, it's really the personal networks and attributes that define leadership.
Yes, utterly. And this whole view is deeply intertwined with cultural and religious beliefs, like the concepts of karma, or bun, in the Cambodian context, where power is almost seen as a natural law. It's like, if you accumulate enough bun through good deeds, you're destined for power.
Right?
That gives an almost cosmic significance to political authority.
It's fascinating how personal morality and political power merge. Now, how do these ideas translate into everyday behavior in politics and governance?
Well, one major effect is that political behavior isn't just about votes or policy platforms. It's about, joining the right patronage network, establishing kchisai. These are networks of personal relationships, often cemented by family ties, marriages, and personal favors. So even if someone holds an official seat, their true influence is measured by these personalized relationships. It really moves beyond a simple bureaucratic structure.
And that explains why election results, even when appearing democratic, might reflect these deep-rooted personal loyalties and networks of obligation.
Absolutely. In fact, the analysis shows how these networks perpetuate themselves over time. For instance, during elections, voter decisions are often less about ideological choice and more about sustaining long-standing patronage ties that have been built over generations.
I see. And what about gender? I remember the text discussing how men and women are seen differently when it comes to these power processes.
Right, that's another significant section. The paper delves into how men are generally perceived as having more omnaik due to traditional patronage roles, but at the same time, nearly half the respondents indicated that both genders accumulate bun. However, even if women participate in these networks, often through family connections, the perception is that they are, less visible or assertive in accumulating power directly.
Yeah.
Largely because of societal norms that see them primarily in supportive roles.
So even if women are active politically, their influence often gets filtered through their association with powerful men.
Exactly. The system almost enshrines that association. Female political actors are frequently connected through family ties, which then grants them indirect access to power. Yet, outright independent power, what you might call omnaik, is still thought of as the male domain.
That really underscores how traditional beliefs reinforce gender disparities in political power.
It does, and it's interesting, because even among the respondents there was some debate. One informant remarked that while both genders have bun, men on average display it more noticeably because of their participation in economic activities. But then others argued that women might accumulate more sel, which is about moral purity and compassionate behavior, though that alone isn't enough to gain omnaik in the eyes of society.
Right. You know, I'm a little skeptical about linking moral purity so directly with power. Could it be that this very notion is used as a convenient justification for denying women equal power?
That's a thoughtful point. Some may well argue that emphasizing cell and moral purity as distinguishing qualities sets up an inherently higher bar for women because it shifts the focus from material or coercive power to a moral judgment that is easier to dismiss or overlook. In a way, it reinforces the belief that political power must be earned through a kind of moral superiority that is typically reserved for men in this context.
I see what you mean. It does seem like the interplay of these concepts creates a situation where traditional gender roles become almost self-fulfilling prophecies.
Precisely. And moving deeper into the topic, the paper also explores how this conceptualization of power goes beyond individual interactions and becomes part of a larger cultural evolution. It discusses how new ideas and external influences, like modern technologies and foreign investment, are slowly changing the political landscape in urban areas like Phnom Penh, though rural areas remain more traditional. It's like there's a tension between modernity and tradition in the way power is understood.
Exactly. And that tension could eventually drive social and political evolution, but also create instability if the traditional structures are too rigid to adapt.
Right, because the paper makes it clear that while political culture in Cambodia is highly personalized and rooted in historical and religious beliefs, it is not static. It evolves in response to shifts in material conditions and external influences. The idea is that political behavior is shaped at several levels: individual cognition, interpersonal behavior, and broader group dynamics, all influenced by the persistent legacy of patronage networks.
And those networks, these ksay, are the lifeblood of the political system, aren't they? They tie together even the processes of state power with personal power in an almost inseparable way.
Exactly. It's like the state and personal power coalesce, making it nearly impossible to challenge the established order. When you challenge a leader, you're not just challenging a position, you're questioning their inherent bun, their social status, and the whole moral order. This is why dissent can be so dangerous in that context.
Yep. And that's why the paper argues that a significant part of the public's acceptance of the status quo isn't mere submission, but a genuine belief that this order is natural.
Yes, the belief in a cosmic natural order, supported by concepts like karma and anupeep, really anchors the power structure. It suggests that political authority has a kind of divine or predetermined legitimacy. It's an echo of the historical narratives about kingship dating all the way back to Angkor.
And that long historical narrative, intertwined with religious and mythic elements, makes it extremely hard to uproot the system.
Absolutely. The persistence of Khmer political culture is not only in the structures we see today, but in how deeply they're embedded in collective memory and identity, reinforced by both family histories and popular narratives about the divine right of rulers.
So, in summary, we have a system where personal power, backed by moral principles and solidified through networks of patronage, shapes every aspect of political life, and this system continues to evolve, yet remains remarkably resilient.
Precisely. It's a complex tapestry of tradition, modern influences, personal attributes, and deep-seated cultural beliefs. And while changes are coming, especially in urban centers, the underlying structures of Khmer political culture persist through these personal networks and the ideological justifications that have been built over centuries.
Right? Wow, that really gives us so much to think about. It's incredible how, even in an era that values modern democracy, these traditional conceptions of power still hold such sway.
It really is. And it reminds us that political culture is not something that can be easily reformed overnight. It's a deeply ingrained aspect of society, evolving gradually over generations.
Yep. Thanks for breaking it down. This discussion really highlights how multi-layered and interwoven concepts like power and culture are in Cambodia.
My pleasure. It truly paints a picture of a setting where politics is lived, experienced, and justified through cultural and personal lenses, more than through impersonal democratic procedures.
Looking forward to diving even deeper into these ideas in our next conversation.
Likewise. Until next time, keep pondering the fascinating intersections of power, culture, and history.